How's it going, y'all? So you're thinking about moving to Alpharetta, Georgia, one of the most popular and desirable places in the entire country to move to, and you want to know what there is to do and where you should be if that's your choice. Well, today we're going to jump into the Google Maps and show you all of those things. How's it going, y'all? My name is Winston Gibbs with the Living Northeast Georgia channel, and if you're looking into Alpharetta for the place to be or you want to settle down, well, I'm going to show you all the things: shopping, recreation, what's coming, and stick around to the end, and I'm going to show you the best ways to avoid traffic and get to the airport if you're trying to fly out for a vacation or a business trip. Let's get to it. All right, y'all, we're in the map here that's highlighting Alpharetta, and I just want to give you a reference point what part of Northeast Atlanta Alpharetta is. Downtown Atlanta is here, and Alpharetta can be accessed going up 85 and Highway 400 to there. It's only about 35 miles to get there. That benefit of being that close to downtown is a large part of the reason why people are moving to Alpharetta, plus all the things that it has to offer, which we will jump into. Now, one thing I want to highlight, when you start getting into that Northeast Atlanta area, a lot of the suburbs will get mixed and mingled together. You can be in one and be in the other without even realizing it. There are tons of great communities that surround Northeast Atlanta and surround the Alpharetta area. One of the ones that you'll hear a lot of people talk about is Johns Creek. It's very close. You have Milton over here. You have Roswell right here. And in the middle of all of them, you have Alpharetta. A lot of these communities are really merged together, and the line that separates the three or four of them can be blurred if you don't know where you're looking. Again, I would highly recommend all those areas, and we will eventually do videos on those. But I can tell you from some of the friends I've had in the past that grew up in Milton or grew up in Roswell or Johns Creek, they are very proud to say that they're from those areas, or if they're from Alpharetta, they will let you know they are from Alpharetta. Let's get into it. What is the draw to Alpharetta, and why is it such an attractive place to move to, compared to a lot of the other cities in the country or even in the state of Georgia? Well, as I just mentioned, the proximity to Atlanta is a huge plus. Atlanta is a thriving hub for business, and Georgia has been named the #1 state to do business the last 10 years. Some of those things are the thriving film industry, the massive tech industry, and the logistics with the Savannah port and the Atlanta airport being massive hubs for logistical things and logistical business. Well, Alpharetta has really capitalized on all that business growth, and they're nicknamed the Connected City, originally oriented from the initial use of technology and fiber. Now, the city has really bought into that theme, and they are making sure they do tons of events, let the people know, and just really have a connection within the city where everyone feels important. Some of those big businesses that are housed, in Alpharetta proper are AT&T Data Hub. ADP, the payroll processors, are based and headquartered here. LexisNexis, the research site's based here. Pfizer, the technology banking industry's here. And Ernst & Young, one of the big four accounting firms, is based in Alpharetta. So these business folks, these high-tech, big software sales or banking folks want to be in this area because of the proximity to downtown Atlanta, as we mentioned earlier, is a short drive here. There's so much going on that they can get into the city, but being outside of the city gives them a little bit more peace, tranquility, because we'll get into some of that here in just a second on what also makes it great. So the booming business industry is a huge draw to Alpharetta. Some of the other things that create a massive draw are all the recreation that is available in the town. I'm going to talk about some of my favorite things here. Let's start with recreation and some of those things that are going to be very attractive to this area. One of the things I'm going to continue to talk about is golf. You see all the stuff behind me. I love golf. It's a big part of my life. And Alpharetta, Northeast Atlanta, has some of the best options for golfing there is. There's great public options. I'm going to put a heart around some of those public options, like St. Marlowe Country Club. If I zoom out a little bit more, over here, Bears Best Atlanta is a great public option for folks. Those are two of the really, really good public options you have. There are others you can Google if public golf is what you're into. Now for private golf, there's a lot of really, really good options as well for private golf. Obviously, there's a cost associated with that, but you won't have as much traffic coming through there as maybe some of the public clubs, and you can get tee times, you can enjoy the restaurants, you can enjoy the court and racket sports or the pools that these places offer. One of these is the Golf Club of Georgia, located up where we were doing a video last week, or our previous video. The Golf Club of Georgia is absolutely beautiful. They have 36 holes. Some of it is located on Lake Windward right here, where the Windward Boat Club is, and it is absolutely stunning. I actually played in a mid-am tournament out there hosted by the state of Georgia. Great option, beautiful golf. Over here, if you just go a little bit north, is you're gonna have Atlanta National. Atlanta National is well renowned in the area for being in a very exclusive club. I would love to get out there one day, but I've heard wonderful, wonderful things about Atlanta National. And then here you have the Ansley Golf Club with Settendam at Settendown Creek. Ansley actually has a partner club downtown Atlanta, in the middle of all the high rises, which is beautiful. I've heard unbelievable things about these, and with the short and close proximity to Alpharetta, these make great options from the golf world, and if that's something you're wanting to get into. Now, recreation. There's a lot more than just golf. I understand that a lot of people have other hobbies, and there are plenty of places to get out and enjoy the parks. As you can see as I zoom in, you have one of the biggest ones that they're well known for is the Big Creek Greenway. The Big Creek Greenway is extremely important to the Alpharetta community, and they're doing a lot of projects centered around that and connecting that greenway, some of the complexes, multi-use spaces to this greenway so that people can get out and enjoy and walk and get their exercise and enjoy the nature that is around this area, even though it is a suburb of Atlanta and you wouldn't traditionally think you would have that rural feel within such a big city. So Big Creek Greenway is a big part of that. As you can see down here, there's a park right here. There's a park over here, Willis Park. And where we highlighted the other day in our last video was the Walk of Memories, where the War Memorial is, a free attraction in the area. And as I zoom out, you're gonna see, even if you're not in Alpharetta proper, and the Webb Bridge Park is also a very famous one. There's an old famous bridge in that area. Great to get out, exercise. But even if you're not talking about Alpharetta proper, you can see that the Roswell area has a park. There's a Jones Bridge Park over here, East Roswell Park, parks. There's tons of places to get out, enjoy nature, walk your dogs, go do some exercise in that area. Some of these places also have the thriving sport of disc golf. Some of these parks will have their courts where you can get out and play pickleball, and you can play tennis and enjoy those different things. One more bit of recreation that is extremely popular to the area is the lake life. I've already mentioned Lake Windward over here, but Lake Lanier from downtown Alpharetta, if you take Highway 400 up here, you can get to Lake Lanier, the far west side of Lake Lanier, in as little as 30-35 minutes. To get up to the other side of Lake Lanier will maybe take you more of an hour, but if you get a second home over there, or you're looking to do an Airbnb or a quick rental for the weekend, maybe for Memorial Day or 4th of July or Labor Day, it's great to get out, rent a boat, or if you have those facilities yourself, to get out and enjoy the water on those big holidays. Now, a little tip is if you go on the weekends that aren't the major holidays, it's not going to be near as crowded, and you can get out and enjoy the peace of the lake rather than fighting all the folks who are maybe imbibing it a little bit more, or who are just out there for the one-time weekend thing. Those off weekends, you can really get out there, enjoy your fishing or your skiing, or just hop on a pontoon and cruise and see all the beautiful houses that surround Lake Lanier. So that's only about a 35-minute drive to the far west side if you're going from downtown Alpharetta. And obviously, if you're on this side of town, it cuts down opposed to this side. So those are some of the great things about the recreation in the area. You have an abundance of parks, you have an abundance of golf available, you have the lake really close, lots of ways to get out, exercise, enjoy nature. Now, one of the other things, this will probably speak to some of the high fashion folks, some of the men and women who are always on their 9s and 10s with their outfits. Alpharetta is a huge hub for shopping. I'm going to highlight some of those areas. One of the first areas that we got to highlight if we're going to talk about shopping is right downtown here by Plaza Park. Plaza Park is the downtown area here, and there is so much to do in downtown Alpharetta, and has created a huge demand for real estate in that area. Just north here, in our last video, this is the Garden District up here, and this Garden District here and its proximity to downtown, the real estate prices have gone through the roof. You're going to see lots of teardowns, you're going to see lots of renovations, you're going to see condos, townhouses over $1 million, massive properties in that $2-3 million range because of their proximity to enjoy all that downtown Alpharetta is. That Garden District is absolutely stunning to walk through. But here you're going to have a lot of your boutiques where you can get your boutique shopping and enjoy those experiences and see the smaller names who maybe are trying to make their way in. A lot of small business owners. You also have your breweries, your restaurants, lots of unbelievable dining experiences in this downtown Alpharetta Park Plaza area. Now, as we move the map some, just a little bit farther south from downtown, only about 10 minutes or so, you're going to have this North Point Mall area. The North Point Mall area here, as you can see, really close to the Greenway, a lot of development going on down there. This North Point Mall area is going to have a lot of your big boxes, a lot of your big box stores, your Burlingtons, your TJ Maxx's, your Nordstrom. You can get a little bit of everything in this North Point Mall. It is a great area for retail shopping, some retail therapy, and getting out and enjoying that. Again, North Point Mall, lots of mixed use spaces. There's townhomes around the area. There's other developments, condos where you can get in. There's lots of food options, tons of things going on around the North Point Mall area. Great shopping, highlighted by great shopping. Then the last area of major shopping, just a quick drive from downtown, is the Avalon area. Avalon is your high-end shopping experience. When you drive through it, you're going to see a couple of the big buildings. There's some amazing flats you can get in that area. You're going to have some really nice restaurants in there. Cafe Intermezzo is one of them. You see the Chanel store. You see some of the higher-end Southern brands. You see the big retail stores. But Avalon has high-end. It's a high-end shopping experience for those of you who fancy more of those things rather than some of the other ones that I mentioned, like the Burlingtons or Nordstroms or some of those rack stores. Avalon is beautiful to walk through and would highly recommend checking it out. And then for the last thing, when I talk about some of the personal therapy that we like to enjoy, like getting out and about, we've talked about the golf, we've talked about the parks, the shopping. One of the other things that I have to highlight, and you can see I don't even have to favorite it, is the Ameris Amphitheatre right here, not far from downtown. Again, I talked about Ameris Bank in my last video. They host concerts by people from all over the world. This is a huge amphitheater where you can have lawn seating, or you can have the VIP experience, and you can get under the shelter and have seated experience. There are tons of ways to get over and enjoy the Ameris Amphitheatre. It is a huge, huge benefit to the Alpharetta community because of the different artists that come through there. Now, I can't speak about Ameris Bank without also talking and giving note to a lot of the other small businesses or some of the smaller places that will host Artists on the Rise. You can get out and you can have entertainment throughout the city with live bands in different places, at the breweries, at the Alpharetta Music Center. There's different places to get out and enjoy the smaller artists, and you never know, you may see one in a few years later. They could be at the Ameris Amphitheatre performing, and you saw them when they were on their way up. So it's really cool. The music scene is a really important part of the culture of Alpharetta. All right, and the last thing I want to talk about, so we've gotten through why people are moving here because of the desirability and what people are doing when they're not working, but what are some of the areas where development's coming? Now, if you go to the Alpharetta's website, they keep people up to date. There's a list of all the events they have coming up. They have information about all the festivals. Then they also have a coming soon page and what's going on. And there's more development coming in the Alpharetta area. You see, I'm going to come up here up by the Golf Club of Georgia area. This Windward area has a huge 2 or 3 different developments coming up where there's hundreds of townhomes being built. There's multi-family units being built. There's single family units being built through this Windward location here. That is going to give possible options if you're looking to get into the Alpharetta area. One of the cool things is the Big Creek Greenway, which is farther down here. They are making trails. There's over 15 miles of trails throughout here, and a lot of these developments are going to tie into that greenway. You can get down to the city, ride a bike, or you can take a quick 10-minute drive into the city. Other places where they got development coming, tons of it there. You can research that. Down here, as you go a little bit south of downtown and the North Point Mall area and the Gathering and the Summit Place, there are 4 or 5 different multi-use areas in the Gathering here, in Summit Place, and in North Point where you can have options to get those townhomes or to get maybe into a condo, because Alpharetta, like we discussed in our previous video, the prices are skyrocketing, but people still want to get here for all these things we've discussed. And these areas have new construction coming in, like I said, with either townhomes, which are a great option, condos, which are another option, and the connectivity to this North Point Mall area, Big Creek Greenway, proximity to downtown are very, very desirable. And there's more information on Alpharetta's website as far as those things go. Now, the last thing that I promised to tell you about was when we talked about Alpharetta as a whole, the location and the desirability to get here is obvious. You can go do research if you don't believe me. But when you start looking to travel, whether it's for a vacation or if you have business travel like some of those big executives that I was talking about earlier might have to do to get to Atlanta's airport, it's a short drive down here. The airport's on the south side downtown, and you have a couple different options. You're always going to start coming down 400. Well, this big loop that goes around the city right here, this is the 285 perimeter of Atlanta. These different connection points with 75 and with Interstate 85, those 2 connection points can get really, really, really clog jam. And even here at 400, those are some of the pain points to get past Atlanta. And then even downtown, right here at the 75-85 merger downtown, are just major, major headaches. And Atlanta's traffic has known to be one of the top 5 worst traffic congestions in the entire country. So what is the trick to getting all the way to the airport without fighting that traffic? Well, in Atlanta, you really want to make sure you get to the airport. I'd always say at least 2 hours early. Sometimes those security lines are terrible unless you have TSA pre-check or you have Clear, which I would highly recommend getting in the Atlanta airport because it is the busiest airport in the world. But to avoid the traffic, you want to plan to be at the airport 2 hours early. You know, this ride could take 40 minutes with no traffic. If there's bad traffic, it could take 2.5 hours. But the key to that is booking your flights in times that are not going to have those high traffic areas. I know it may be a pain to get up early and get one of those 7 a.m. flights, but all this traffic, if you're planning on getting to the airport at 6:30 or 6, you're not going to have that traffic, 6 in the morning. It's not going to be near as bad. If you try and book a flight around lunch or just after lunch, you're going to be able to avoid some of that traffic. Or if you get those red-eye flights flying out late and make sure you do the drive during those times, those are going to be the best ways to avoid the traffic. Another huge plus about that you can use, especially on some of these interways, is the Georgia Peach Pass. A lot of states have them. Our Peach Pass is not like an HOV lane, but it's a separate lane that is going to allow you to bypass some of that traffic. There's usually a cost depending on how congested it is to get in this lane. It'll tell you what the cost is to get from certain mile mark, and it just charges it to an account which you pay at the end of the month. And the Peach Pass can really, really save you on travel time in some of those really congested times. That is a huge plus for anyone looking to move to this area. I hope you've learned something about why Alpharetta is such a desirable place to go. There's wonderful places to live and buy, whether you want to be in downtown in the Garden District, or you want to be in the Windward area, or if you want to but if you go to the west side villas, there's townhome options, condo options, and single family residences all over the place. Another really cool thing when I was talking to one of my friends is that, you know, and I notice it myself, when you start getting on those outskirts of town, even though it is a major suburb of the Atlanta area, you have some places where you'll see 5, 10, 15, 20 acres on the outskirts. So you really can get what almost feels like a rural experience without some people would consider the downside of rural life, because you're so close to the city and all the city has to offer. It's really a cool town with the different options that it has for everybody. So if you want to learn more about everything that Alpharetta has to offer, Northeast Atlanta, Northeast Georgia, from Athens to Lake Hartwell, Lake Lanier, Gainesville, and everything in between, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll check you at the next one. Y'all have a great day.